Day 3.
This is day 3 in Eco, and you're listening to the Colonel's Journal. The adventures of bad company within Eco continue. We've now got 27 days before the meteor strikes, and obviously our priorities are completely in order as we've now started to properly build ourselves some very nice looking houses. Turns out that my neighbour, Mr. Pixelator, has decided to be the town's road builder. I don't exactly know how much roads, how many roads I should say, we're going to need, but certainly he's made a fine job of the outside of our two houses, and it turns out that he's a dab hand with a hammer as well, and has stuck some windows in for me, which is jolly decent. Now the food trade has gone well, as you can see from my stockpile here. I've actually started to build up a respectable amount of odds and ends that I can use to stick a house together with. This is keeping my campfires lit, and it's really now all about completing the initial build here in order to roof it in and get my shop up and running. As you can see over to the left there, I've got a shop front that is set up and good to go. As if that weren't enough to put a smile on our face and make it look like we might actually succeed here, we've been joined by a clutch of other people who have decided to jump on board and get with the program. And the world is developing quite nicely. Trees are starting to repopulate. I've even managed to get some crops growing, which is, it's no more of a mystery to myself, really. But my stockpile is looking pretty healthy, and I'm pretty confident that I'm going to have a house to rival the very finest on this server. In fact, the majority of day 3 has been made up of simply building. In my case, I'm waiting for crops to grow. I've got a couple of fields set up. No, I don't want that in there. No, that's a silly place for it. Let's just carry on, just dragging it around. Is it going to look better there? No, probably not. Oh, that's a nice pillar. I can't build those because I lack the masonry skill. But as you can see, the Colonel's house is getting bigger. Now, a significant amount of time has been spent in actually building this building. Sure, that's a thing people say. Which allows me to then reposition my shop front towards the window that I was constructing mere moments ago, and then repopulate it with what I'm buying. So at the moment, I'm still looking for more logs because I've got big aspirations as far as building this house up is concerned. But I'm going to want logs because fundamentally I'm going to use those to repair stuff with. And then we want some more hewn stone, some mason stone as well, in order to continue building out the foundations. Now, the prices that I'm offering in Kernel Credit can only be redeemed at my shop, unless somebody else decides to offer goods for Kernel Credit as well. To be honest, there is already some friction between Mr. Vargan and myself with our two competing currencies. And it won't be too long, I'm sure, before somebody else decides to fling a competing currency in as well. But later on, eventually, we'll be able to get a mint up and running and generate our own currency that everybody can unify behind. But for now, I'm unhappy with having just one person holding all of the credit cards and an unlimited overdraft with which they can basically clean out my shop for very little return for myself. So I've decided to compete in that market. It wasn't a popular move, let's say, but people have by and large got on board, and they found that I am quite agreeable in the pricing that I'm offering. In fact, it is decidedly possible for people to go elsewhere, buy the goods, and then sell them to me in exchange for food, which is lovely. Now, on the field side of things, we are a little concerned about beets, as you can see them growing here. It's only a tiny little field, but this currently represents about 80% of all the beets in the world. I'm not even joking. They are dying out very quickly, and this land here is not even the best place for them. I'm desperately trying to generate some seeds in order to keep them going. If that weren't enough, buffalo have also started dying out, and that's bison, not buffalo. But it amounts to the same thing, but they've also started dying out, and we really ought to do something about that pretty soon. Meanwhile, here is my primary field. Now, what I've managed to get to grow here so far, so huckleberry bushes, they're not bad. They're growing okay, and I do a fairly good trade in huckleberries anyway. They sell for one per berry. Might seem quite extreme, but certainly there's plenty of demand, because what else are you going to eat, frankly? And I've got enough. I've got enough to keep this going for quite some time. Now that's a camas plant. Now the bulbs from that plant can be turned into a very nice mash, or you could just grill them up. And the recipe for charred camas bulb, it's really quite a straightforward one. Is you get your camas bulb, right? You stick it on the campfire. Yeah, that's those berries, and then you set fire to it, and then a little bit later, bada bing, you got yourself some charred camas. And those sell for quite a pretty penny at the moment, given that they are slightly more nutritious than a diet of huckleberries alone. Needless to say, the dietary requirements are currently not really being fulfilled, as many people are just eating raw food and veg. But we're working our way up. I'm certainly earning skill points occasionally. Now, one of the settings that we've got going on this server is that we don't award skill points for doing actions. It's an option that you have, and we've decided not to go with that. You only get skill points over time. So the longer you wait, the more skill points you'll have. And you earn skill points a little faster if your house is nice, and if you eat a balanced diet. And that is largely why I am spending a lot of my time planting up camas bulbs here. Now, in my secondary field, which I don't think we'll get to in today's journal, I'm growing a combination of wheat, which currently I don't really have a use for. I think I can make some salad stuff with it, but no, I don't have an awful lot of use for wheat at the moment, because we're not quite at the stage of milling. And corn, and I am trying to reintroduce tomatoes as well. Tomatoes are having they're having a lousy time of it trying to grab hold anywhere, and I mean, it's too soon for it to be our fault that this has happened. This is just the natural habitat rejecting the humble tomato plant, which is a shame, because it's rather rich in antioxidants, and could possibly be called a superfood. Anyway, this is the life of the farmer here. As much as I might be profiting reasonably, but I've screwed up my count here, haven't I? Oh well, never mind. Yes, this is the life of the farmer. You plough the thing, you plant the thing, you harvest the thing, you cook the thing, and then you charge people twice as much as you realistically should to then eat the thing. Meanwhile, of course, you're eating like royalty, because you've got an unlimited supply of absolutely everything. Now, one of the newcomers to town, in fact, he's not one of the newcomers to town, one of the hunter who joined us, Mr. Sociopath, a curious name, but oddly appropriate for a hunter, has started selling me meat, which I sell at quite a pretty penny. It offers a goodly amount of protein and indeed fat, for those who are interested. Well, you know, I mean, but there it is. We're getting places. As you can see, I've got some stocks on the go. It's simply a case now of cracking on and hopefully earning the skills to go a little bit further with it. Anyway, that's been day 3 here in the world of eco. My field's pretty much about planted, and I recommend that you subscribe just to see how magnificent it looks when everything's fully grown. I've been Colonel Failure. Fling a like at this one if you enjoyed it, and I'll catch up with you very soon. Cheerio.